Okay. So, uh, hopefully everything is fine. You know, I be sometimes I do feel like I be stressing to. I haven't even. I'm gonna be honest. It is January 11th. I haven't even put out the first video that I've done this year. I don't know what the issue is, but it's kind of like I've been going back and listening to it, and I think there may be a little insecurity. And you know what? For good reasoning, probably, because in every area of our life we should always be looking to elevate. And so my approach with a lot of things that I do, it's like the preparation is sometimes required, but it's not always needed. And I mean, I know for some people that may sound stupid. It's like you should always prepare for certain things, but I don't know. It's just like, sadly, well, I wouldn't say sadly, but like Luke 21:15, I try to base my, not just my life, my whole life, because you don't want to do things aimlessly and not being prepared or knowing, or even having some kind of plan or whatever, some rubric. But I love, especially when it comes down to talking to people, you can never really, I don't know, just plot out every little thing that you need to say. And especially, like, let's say for us believers, if we're waiting on a move of God, right? You can't necessarily plan for that all the time. Now granted, you can set up you can go and worship and do all of that other stuff, and you can expect God to move in that way. But even still, like, let's say you go and you see a random person and you just never really know what to say, but then the Spirit of God comes in, and then it's just like you say all the right things and you do all the right things. And that's just kind of the seat and the position and the posture that I try to have. It's like, well, God, have your way with every little thing, so that way I can know the difference between me and you. And I think, it's not like having absolutely no knowledge or no concern about the the endeavors that you partake in, because I care genuinely. Like, I'm trying to do intro screen and outro screens. I'm trying my best to, as I would say, elevate the little things, because honestly they don't matter. But we live in a world where people like flash and they like all of this other stuff, so it is what it is. You got to try to appease people in their senses. But either who, I guess this is just gonna be like a little conversation moment. I'm not, like I say, I'm not a teacher. And so I got to get more comfortable in just talking, because I'll say this, like, I was on I like to watch people play game. Well, not really play. I like to interact with people. I think that's another part of my ministry, is going to, like, I wouldn't even know how to describe it, but I like to just find people and spend time with them. I like, especially those who are starting out in their, I don't know if it's their aspiration or dream, but people with low viewerships and stuff like that, and spend time with them and chat with them and try to spread love, and be friendly, be fun, be vibrant. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. I don't sweat the times it don't. I move on and I go to the next person. But as I was doing that today, I was just like, child, there is nobody that I just feel like I'm drawn to right now. And it's like, okay, you know what? I used other words because because I don't know, sometimes I don't find certain people entertaining. So that it's like, sometimes I do mix business with pleasure. I'm gonna be honest, because it's hard to explain. But I was like, let me get on. So I'm probably gonna stream later. But I was like, you know what? If I don't see what I want, let me become, what I'm looking for. Instead of complaining, the solution is, well, let me get online and let me actually do something about it. And so, I do try to be a person of solutions and not one who complains all the time. So, but I don't know, that I just, it's very, I don't know. I don't want to rant on people, but I don't know. I say this all the time. I don't find a lot of people funny. I don't find a lot of people entertaining. Um, and you know what? That's not to shame anyone or say someone's not funny. I think we all have our own different taste and styles and approaches, and so to each their own. But it's just like, you know, well, what now? But no, off that, but more so into me going around looking for the smaller people, or even just people starting out. There's been like, as I was saying in the first video that I still have yet to put up, I need to put up before I do this video, well, before I put this one up. But there has been an uptick, and it's kind of, I feel like I'm behind. I don't think this is any new discovery, but people are really actually, I don't want to say having, dang, I can't speak. I don't want to say having an awakening. I just don't like the way that sounds, because I was talking to someone the other day, and it was another encounter, and about I dare to say spirituality, because I feel like you cannot be spiritual without the presence of God, and without God, the acknowledgement of God. There is, you're just flesh and bone at that point. But to each their own. This we were talking, and there was a lot of, I guess, usage of terms as like energy and vibrations and all of this other stuff. So I came to the conclusion that this person was a universalist. And so to each their own, because I think you cannot go into the world and transform and even plant seeds. Well, okay. I think I said that backwards. But you can't be effective. You cannot do the actual work of Christ if you're not willing to go into the world. And I think that does mean you have to know how to be set apart. You have to know how to sit with sinners and not be tainted. A lot of people don't know how to do that. I wanna throw this out there. Jesus, when he was being questioned if he was the Messiah, or should they go and look for another one, because this was when John was locked up, and two servants of John had to go and let Jesus know, and in front of the crowd, what was going on. And so, if I remember correctly, in this instance, Jesus reminded them that John, he lived his life one way, and people said he was possessed, or he was demented, but he was living for God. He was living for Jesus. He was preparing the way for Jesus. But then Jesus also, in the same breath, said, I lived a different way from John, and y'all still tried to vilify me. I partied. I didn't. It's this. When we think of partying, people try to think of this reckless kind of living. They don't think of just having fun, being vivacious, and just enjoying life. Jesus showed us how to enjoy life without sinning, without overindulging. He ate with sinners and did all this other stuff. He even drank wine, and there's even a scripture all the way in the back of the Bible. Let me say that a cup of wine is good for a stomach ache. So, the thing about that, and I hope I quoted that wrong. Right. If I did wrong, I'm positive it's in the Bible. Just look it up, comment, let me know, correct me, because I don't have a problem with chastisement. But the thing is, Jesus did it one way, John did it another way, but they both lived in a way that was to show people righteousness. Now Jesus did it more perfectly than John, but but that is why I find it very important, the approach shouldn't matter if the core is centered in God. Now, and that goes to show we should not conform to the ways of the world. We shouldn't. We shouldn't have to do the things that the world is doing in order to draw people in, right? But ultimately, if that thing, I think we need to pray more. We need to pray more for God to open our eyes to see, because we'll jump quickly to judge a situation not knowing. But that brings me back to the moment in the instance where Jesus genuinely said, John did it basically, let's insinuate John did it differently and I did it another way, and y'all hated us both. John basically lived a more, secluded and well, I'm not going to say more upright, but he didn't do the things I did and y'all called him possessed. I didn't do the things he did and y'all are calling me a sinner, a heathen. And so it comes down to, the core, not judging a matter with our physical eyes, but with the spiritual eye. And so I say all of that because, if you don't go out into the world, you cannot really do the work of Christ. If you're not willing to listen to people regardless of your stance or regardless of what you know or believe, you cannot be effective, in my opinion. If you're not willing to be judged by people, because people in the church, outside of the church, are going to look at what you're doing and say, some of them are going to say, that's not godly. That's not of Christ. And the thing about that is, if God told you to do it, or even, I'm not going to say if it feels right, because everything that feel right ain't right. Everything that glitter ain't gold. But if even Jesus himself, could compare his actions with another, and then he didn't say John was wrong. John wasn't wrong for whatever the approach he took. It was man that made John wrong, John the Baptist. And they said he was possessed. They said John was possessed. But then Jesus was considered a sinner. I think, if I'm not mistaken, even a glutton, because he indulged in rich food. I don't think there's nothing wrong with eating a good meal. I don't. Food, every good thing in the earth, everything in this earth that has not been perverted, because things can be perverted, everything God made was to be enjoyed. It is us, humanity, that decides to taint and twist, these things and just for our selfish gain. And so, I let me wrap that up. So I don't know. I don't care about other people's approaches. My thing is to never lead people down the path of destruction. If always, I will make sure I tell people to pray for themselves. Prayer is essential and important. Meditation is not, because one thing about it, you need to, if you're seeking God, you need to ask God to reveal himself. Don't just go around, you know what? God can speak, but I've understood the value of prayer, and so I want to share that treasure. It's a treasure with other people. I genuinely do. I don't want to hoard it for myself. I've seen the benefits of it, and I've seen the results of prayer, of taking your petition to the Lord in hopes, and then also in knowing that he answers. And so, with the guy I considered a universalist, and then there was another guy, and then I had an instance when I was playing World of Warcraft. Someone noticed my name and they asked me the inspiration behind it, because I maybe like a few weeks ago, I was like, God, I want to make a character for you, you know? Um, and whenever the moment presents itself, I just want to be able to testify or whatever, you know? Let me drink some water right quick. And so, you know, though it wasn't really one of the greatest moments, but we can never really discount things just because it doesn't look the way we want it to. This person, they noticed my name, and my name of my character, I'm a priest in this game, and it's called the Oracle. And so I was just walking, and so somebody noticed my name, and so they followed me. They followed me, and I didn't notice they had messaged me, but they just followed me until I stopped, until I noticed that they were that I got a message, and I turned around, and yeah, they just asked me what was the inspiration behind the name, and I said Jesus. And I did like a little when I typed Jesus, I did like a nervous face, like emoticon type ordeal, because, you know, sadly, I've noticed, and I don't think it's just something I'm noticing, but people don't have the best reaction to Jesus and stuff like that, you know. And so, though I love God, it kind of saddens me. It does a little bit. And you know, people don't think Christians get attacked, but Christians do be getting attacked for no reason. I mean, especially nowadays. A little sidebar. I've been in a group where, you know, people don't understand, and I'm gonna use an analogy, but it's like a man, and please just hear me out. It's like a man saying that he's a heterosexual man, but yet he has only indulged in homosexual activities. And even, I mean, currently, I'm not talking about in the past, I'm talking about currently. I do not think that you can consider yourself heterosexual. Now, granted, God knows who you are. God knows the real version of you. But if your actions are not producing, and I know some people may not like that analogy, but I just had to make it. Yeah, it's something I used to relate to. So please, if what you're doing today, what you're saying does not line up with what you're doing, you know, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. You are. I don't know. You're lying to yourself, and I think a lot of Christians have done that. A lot of Christians do that. Well, I wouldn't even call them Christians, because you cannot say you're Christian and then not do the things of God, because you're not a Christian. You're not a Christian. You're a liar. You're a hypocrite. And so with that, you know, like I said, even in the video that I still need to publish, I spent 10, I think at least 10 plus years. I say 10 to 15, but I don't think it was 15. 10 plus years thinking I was saved, but not understanding I was living by grace. If I'd have died, I still cannot guarantee where I'm going today, but I know I can see the improvements. I can actually deliberately and intentionally say God has saved me and gave me my soul in order for me to decide where I wanted to place it. And I placed it, I hope, every day, because it's a decision. Being delivered is a decision daily. You know, you choose. You know, we have these thorns, and I don't want to get too far from well, I think it's flowing. So let me just keep going. We have a decision every day to choose to go back or to go forward. And by the grace of God, he makes it easy. He's made it easy for me to continue to go forward. Now, granted, that thorn, you know, it may flare up one day. It may, but even then, you know, God has given me the tools, and God has allowed me to build up a fortress within him, because he is the refuge in which I run to. And because I know the name of God, he will protect me. Because I can call on the name of God, God will show up and defend me. And so, you know, one thing I've learned It's God wants to satisfy us. Like I use this story, and sometimes you have to repeat things so it really begins to simmer and it sits, marinates in your spirit. But God said to David, if only I would have knew that what I had given you was not enough, I'd have given you more. Because David slept with Bathsheba, killed her husband, and thought nothing wrong of it. But obviously he did, because he went and killed her husband. So there was some awkward kind of guilt. I don't know what kind of guilt makes you kill a woman's husband. But, the thing was about God would have given David another woman, another wife, someone who was not another man's. God would have did anything to keep David from sinning, transgressing against God. The iniquity may be there, but even with Satan, if he would have took it to God, God would have covered him, helped him, healed. Like, I believe that. I genuinely believe that. And to me, the iniquity is a thorn. It's a thorn. If God removes it, then God removes it. If God doesn't, do you still decide to serve God? Do you still decide to go to God about that problem? And so I think I'm getting a little off what I wanted to talk about. But that's what happens when God just begins to flow, because maybe someone needs to know that you have to decide. You're gonna have a taste for certain things maybe sometimes, and especially if you're not careful with your surroundings and your environments and the settings that you set yourself in. You get what I'm saying? You have to agree with your deliverance. So if you were a porn addict, and God takes that away from you, you have to be mindful. We have TV shows that show sex. We have people kissing in public. Even no matter the severity of the matter, you have to be so intentional, realizing what can pull you in. And it's just like, I don't want to go back. No matter who you are, realizing I don't want to go back. So I don't care how small, how insignificant. Like, I would be very careful. And I may say this, and this may sound a little crazy, but even with medicine, because some medicine has alcohol in it. If you're alcoholic, I would be even careful with that. But that, I think that goes with going to God. And we can either, God will tell us, but also you can be proactive and progressive in your deliverance, right? I think it very, how would you say it? It shows how much you love God when you're invested in, I don't think that's the word. Let's just use proactive again. You're proactive in it. God didn't even say it, but you just want to be sure anyway, because that's one thing that I'm learning. If you don't know, don't go. If you're unsure, and I'm not saying that in a way to be afraid, but like one thing about it, two things for sure, right? It's like, let's say this about Beyonce. I'll use her for example because I love Beyonce. Beyonce, she has provocative lyrics, right? And so I've simmered down listening to a lot of Beyonce. But there are some old songs that don't really have the bad thing that, I don't know. But it's a lot of the sexual lyrics that I try not to listen to, because I try not to feed that part of me, so that way lust is not flaring up and all of this other stuff isn't flaring up. Now, I'm not saying I know anyone's demons, or I know what anyone is infiltrated with, or what spirits live on them. I don't know that. God can reveal that, but I don't necessarily know that for myself all the time. And so there's just a lot of things that you have to be careful with. And so what I'm saying, like, if you don't know, don't go. If you're not sure, stay put. Like, it's safer to wait on God than to go into uncharted territories and lose your life because of it. And it'd be like, well, I didn't tell you to do that, and you did it. you walked away from me, and I didn't even say move. I was being quiet because I wanted you to wait on me. You know what I'm saying? So one thing about it, we never really know all that God wants to do, because God is a living God, present, active, current, speaking today. There, I want to talk, I want to mention this a little bit. There was a video, and this is something that I haven't been meditating on, but it's something I do believe God has been putting in my spirit for a very long time, because the Bible for me, it is my instruction manual, yes, but it's also an example. It's it shows a lot of precedence of the things that God has done, God will do, and God can do. And it's not a limitation for God, right? And so there was a video of this woman that was talking about how Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Noah, Adam and Eve, Abel. Let's just say all the people that follow the word of God. So let's take Adam and Eve out. But or followed the will. They did right by God. They didn't have the word. They didn't have the Bible like we do. So how is it that they were able to appease God and please God? Job didn't have the word. But one of the realest moments we have, him questioning God, being so unsure in what was going on in his life. But even he was considered righteous in the eyes of God, not having the word. And so, some people, I understand, we are, even growing up, I realized that a lot of believers are stunted. A lot of believers, they don't really have faith. A lot of believers do not have faith. They have just enough faith to get by. And I can say this because one of the significant moments of my life, and it's very significant because there is a powerful testimony that's going to come from this, was when I was younger. People, and I say this because people mix realism with their faith all the time. But when God told them to walk around the wall of Jericho 7 times, whatever, they could not mix their realism with the instruction. And so one thing about it, I was told at a young age that being let's say a successful singer, famous singer or whatever, that's a 1 in a million chance, and so people can say whatever they want to, but the Spirit of God helped me as a kid. And we people can say whatever they want to. Kids know a lot. Kids are very keen and very spiritual. And so at that young age, I knew that was in a lot of sorts demonic. It was very demonic, because don't you dare limit my God. Now, this was a person, in my family, so it's no hate to them, but in order to share and in order to have a testimony, some people are gonna look like the villain, but hopefully we just all grow from the situation. It just is what it is. But in that very moment, I think I remember vaguely saying, I serve a 1 in a million God. So some people may not like this, but I do believe God is, I hate to say that. I wish I had a better word. So God, forgive. I feel as if though God owes me for my faith. There was a check that was written, and God owes me for that, because without faith it is impossible to please God. And in the face of odds, someone speaking against God, I defended God. Now, granted, that's my job. But even still, I do believe God is going to reward that. That's what I say that's what I mean when I say owes me. Because God owes us nothing. God created everything. What can we give to God that he doesn't already own? You know what I'm saying? That's scriptural. But then again, there's the boldness in me that understands I took a stance. And my faith, even at a young age, was speaking for me. God was speaking for me. Heaven was speaking for me. I didn't know. But I talk about that moment because this was a person, preacher, a lot of things for God, but yet you could say that to a child. You could say that is a 1 in a million chance. Do you not do you who have you been preaching for? Who have you been teaching for all of these years? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and I think that behavior I've seen in a lot of Christians, a lot of people who say they believe in God over the years, and at some point I just got tired. I got tired of being around it. Now, I didn't get tired of the church because we are the church. If God isn't in you, I don't know. I don't know, but we are the church. If you don't know how to set up an altar in your bedroom, outside in your backyard, in your closet, wherever you need, that's a problem. If you don't know how to go to God in prayer, that's a problem. You don't. Now, granted, I'm not saying what is it, forsake the gathering, the assembly. I'm not saying that. I long for the day that I'm around people that I feel genuinely believe in me. And I think we all need that. As I've been talking about it, I was talking about it to myself yesterday. God said it is not good that man should be alone, so I will make a help meet. I will make a partner, a compatible companion. I will make a helper suitable. I will make someone just right. And so, I was thinking about that, and that was many versions. That was, you got King James Version, Complete Jewish Bible, you got Easy Read Version that I think I just quoted, and there was another version too. But I was focusing on that suitable being synonymous for just right, fitting, forget some of the words, but you understand, something that fits, is complementary. You know what I'm saying? And we all need that. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel like I had that in my life. I don't, but there is a promise of the Lord, because from the very beginning of time, not only did he say it is not good for man to be alone, but then he said, so I will make. We have 8 billion people in this earth, I don't think any man should be alone. And I'm not talking about, see, people don't understand that. I think, in my opinion, you can be around people and still be alone. It's that suitable part for me. It's the suitable, someone who knows how to cooperate with you in business, someone who is a great friend, someone, and everyone may not fit into these compartments of our lives, but ultimately there is someone who is suitable. They are a perfect fit for that position that you're looking for or that you need help in. They are a help meet. And so, with that, you can be in a congregation and still be alone, still be around people who are just going with the the formalities of it all. They don't have no investment in you. The only time y'all speak, and now granted, speaking is a two-way street. Investment in relationships is a two-way street. But the only time you see certain people is when you see them and when you choose to talk to them. You know what I'm saying? I think if our life ever gets too busy where if well, you know what? I'm not going to go down that road. Either way, I'm not saying to forsake the assembly, but what I am saying is God will and God can send you away, send you to, but ultimately bring you into your community. And that's one thing that I'm hopeful for. And I know I'm getting very, very away. Very away. But maybe God wanted me to. Maybe, like I said, there was something that I said that someone needed to hear. But going all the way back. Let's go all the way back. there's an sad and I hate to say that, an awakening. You know, people realizing that God is real. And you know, as I read in the last video, the harvest is plenty, but the workers are few. And so pray. Jesus told us to pray that I forget how it goes verbatim, but basically we need to be praying that the people be stirred up to go and collect the fruit, collect the souls. We need to be praying that workers be stirred up, that workers be birthed, that people, you know, people just feel it, people just take up that mantle and, you know, be placed in the right position. And you know, like, I have nothing against street preachers. I don't, you know, I understand everyone has a like I was saying earlier with John and Jesus, the difference between them, but yet they were both righteous. A street preacher's approach is different from mine. But as long as God and as long as the truth of God is in the midst of it, I'm not gonna shame anybody. Listen, I know that there are some people who are more attracted to actions and not words. And so, you know, when you live a pure life, or you try the best you can, and you try to really get invested in people. I think investment is very important in this time and age. If you want people to see the love of God, and if you want people to realize that you are the salt of the earth and you are the light on a hill, invest in their life. And let your actions, let the duration, let the time you've spent with them speak. Because it will. To me, that has more of a that right there. Though I know for a fact, you know, I grew up in the church. I grew up in the assembly. But even still, I know God stayed with me as much as possible. Maybe sometimes had to leave because of the things I was doing. Because God will leave. That was another conversation I had with somebody. They believe that God is ever present. God is not afraid of the dark. But God doesn't have to stay where God isn't wanted. But I mean, no, see this. I done threw myself off. But I'm just saying, see, this is why I need to write stuff down. That is a part of elevating, so I can stay on track. I just need to. It would be best for me, you know. But no, for real, like, we need assembly, but understanding, like, we genuinely are the church. And if people cannot see, you know, if your life, excuse me, I gotta drink some water. If your life is not a testimony in itself, without you having to say, I got a testimony. If people can't look at you and the fruit, see the fruit. There's a scripture about that. I forget how it goes, but simply put, let me paraphrase. You will know a man. Is that scriptural? You will know a man by their fruit. Either way, I don't know if that. I don't know. Either way, it sounds scriptural. But no, you will know a man by their fruit. And so if I can't, you'll look at a lot of people, and people think that blessings means God. We all know that Satan. Now, one thing Cat Williams said, Satan can't create anything. That hit me so hard, because it's true. Satan can't create nothing. But he can taint it, and like what he did with Jesus, tried to give Jesus what was already his too soon, just to what? Distract, thwart, misplace, uproot, destroy. And so people don't understand that. They'll look at their life and think, I must be doing something good because I'm living good. I mean, if you say so, babe, if you say so, you know, I'll never try to attach my accomplishments to righteousness, purity, holiness, obedience, faithfulness. None of that matters. You know, if I'm not living according to the word of God, I don't care how successful I look or I am. Everybody can't say that though, because too many, we are very concerned with our own life. We don't know how to forsake our life and take up God, take up, dare I say, holiness. A lot of people don't know how to do that, don't want to do it. But no, I we need the workers. We need the workers, because maybe I'm late. Maybe I'm a late bloomer or something. But I am seeing an uptick personally for me, because I love having those moments. I used to get people here and there, you know, and I love when God presents me with the opportunity to share my testimony, but also not just my testimony, but show people love. And then they get to see it, and it comes out of their mouth that now this may be me honoring myself, because sometimes you have to. I don't think I've been honored enough in my life. Honestly, I don't think I've been honored properly. And you know, one thing that they say, you have to encourage yourself in the Lord, and I think taking time to realize all the things that I have done for God is a very good thing for me. It's therapeutic for me, you know, and I believe God will reward, you know, the things and the sacrifices, the risk that I've taken, and even the ignorant things that I did for God and didn't realize it was for God, or God was using me because he wanted to bless me. And so you know, I love those moments, and I live for more of them. I would, now granted, this is one of my biggest desires. I would love to get paid to, because that, like, and this is where I want to bring up that one verse that was when Jesus was sending the 72 men out in pairs to go and talk to the people and bring them into the love of Christ. He said, stay in that house because a worker is worthy of his wages. And so, you know, we don't value the work anymore. I don't think we really believe that God will take care of us. And then when I say that, some people, you know, they'll be finicky about it, but if you work for God, I believe a lot of people in this lifetime, and they won't admit it, but they think God skips out on paying. God ain't a fair employer. God ain't good in that manner. A lot of people think that, but they won't say it. And a lot of people, in the same way, you know, Jesus told them to eat whatever they are offered, because you are worthy of that payment. Now, there's some people who won't feed, because let's stay in the area, the dimension, the realm of food, I guess. There's a lot of people who won't feed a servant of the Lord. Why? Because they're too concerned about what's gonna happen with me, or what's gonna happen with, and granted, some of those concerns are good concerns, but at the end of the day, the church is not trying to steal your money. God is not trying to steal your money. I even have a theory about that. We have a lot of corrupt and crooked people in ministry. There are people that they went into ministry because they saw it was lucrative and they saw it was beneficial financially. And then there are people who got tired of waiting on y'all to be faithful servants, or even generous, because a lot of y'all are not generous. Got tired of waiting on y'all to be generous, and so then they took up this posture and what we call what people want to call, I'm not saying false prophets don't exist, but prophets for pay, or even all of this other stuff that we have seen. People got to eat. Okay. What Paul did, because he didn't want to burden himself with with us, people who are so greedy, waiting on them to give to him for the work he has done. He took up the position of becoming a tent maker, so that way he wouldn't die and the word could live on. He could go his days and lengthen his days sharing the word and the love and the gospel of God, the gospel of Christ. So he burdened himself with a great work and then a lackluster work. It's like God don't want that. When God created the Levites, their sole purpose was to take care of the temple. And there is a scripture in the Bible that says this referring to the Levites and how they would profit and prosper off of the newest things, the best things, how God will take care of them. This would be forever. And I'm gonna go and try to find that word, not right now, but it's somewhere in the Bible that God said forever. He didn't say for a period of time. He didn't say well, in this age or in this century. No, he said forever. And so, I mean, that's really another conversation that I kind of don't want to talk about, but I kind of I hate more so now that people, it's like you can't talk about giving money in the church for some reason, or you can't talk about people paying their tithes for some reason, without people getting upset, or you can't talk about people really making sure that the storehouse is full so that the ox can eat, so that the one who is pulling this heavy load and making sure that people are being born in the spirit, people are actually coming to the knowledge of God, of Christ. And so, I've had, I think there's been more people in, and you know what, that's the crazy thing about it, because there is also another verse about how people in the world will take better care of their and let's say heathens will take better care of their family than Christians will. And it's very crazy. It's wild, but those people who are of God and who neglect their family, they are considered wicked. Because it is very wicked to know you have someone that has been gifted to your bloodline and you don't know how to maintain them. You don't know how to nurture them. You don't know how to pull out of them what God has placed in them. Because there is a responsibility. A lot of people are just lazy. If we would have left it to Noah, right? Maybe Noah. But if Jonah would have said, it's God's job, God got to deal with it, Jonah maybe would have died, maybe would have been killed. And probably so would have the people of Nineveh. I think it's Nineveh. Because one thing about it, two things for sure, God don't have to pick another person. If God chose one person, that person needs to do what they were told to do. And now, honestly, let's say with the Bible, there are things we don't have to be told to do. Because why? There's an example that has been stated and said, in a rule that has been shown before us. We know what to do. So why do we have to pray about certain things? You don't have to ask God if he wants. Now, granted, well, no, if God doesn't want you to do it, I know God will say, don't do it. That, and I mean, I can never really tell, you know, people what they should do, what they shouldn't do. I mean, I could biblically, you know, in regards to a lot of things like that. Don't overindulge in drinks and drinking. Don't, you know, have sex out of marriage. I could tell people stuff like that, of course. But then there's the little things like, I don't know if God is telling you not to give to that stranger. I don't know if God is telling you not to open that business. Now, if God gives me a word of wisdom or a word of knowledge or something, and then he tells me to say something to you, now granted, I could sit on that word. Like Jonah, I could sit on that word and probably, you know, now maybe I reap the consequence of it, or maybe not. I'm sorry, my mic is going real loud. I'm moving it back and forth. I'm sorry. It's probably been doing that the whole podcast. But I mean, if I sat on that word, who knows the repercussions that would come for me, right? Because let's say I had a business and God told me to prophesy or speak into someone else about their business, right? Or the beginning and the flourishing of that a new business, and I didn't do it. Now, who knows if God wouldn't allow some kind of turmoil to come into my business because of my disobedience, right? Maybe God would, maybe God wouldn't. It's the same with Jonah. It's the same with Jonah. Maybe God would have killed Jonah, maybe God wouldn't have. But people need to understand, you know, they have a decision. Like, this comes back to decisions. You have a decision. It's all up to you what you do at the end of the day. But I don't care. The worker is worthy of their wages. And the worker, you know, it's not what you consider the worker. It's not who you want to call the worker. It don't matter if they've been in the business for 10 years. It don't matter if they've been in the business for 50 or even 2 months. It's not about who you consider the worker. Jeremiah was chosen as a child. I can't think of many other people, but before I think Samson was born, he was chosen. These things, y'all, we don't get to pick these people who God is calling to be. I never understood the arrogance of humanity and thinking, oh, they're so anointed. You want them to be, but maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Maybe you're delusional. Maybe, just maybe. Maybe it's the one you don't want to lift up. Maybe it's the one that you're struggling to realize they have something. I don't know. But back all the way back. They're dang. All the way back. Cause see, I feel like that came out of my feelings a little bit. Dang. But no, I mean, that's because I do have a relationship with that. And you know, I think that is what fuels me. And let's say God bless me, I know the very things that I want to do. Because I'm not gonna be I don't want to be among the I don't know. I can't really say. When God thinks of me, I want God to think of someone who dared to be different and who dared to at least try to be obedient, try to do something great, you know. And greatness is to me, it's not measured by how many people see it. It's measured by, did you do what was in your heart? Are you satisfied? You know, and right now I'm not satisfied. I don't feel great. There's a lot that I want to do, but you know what? I'm gonna leave it in the hands of God, because as long as I show up, God will do something. Something is gonna happen. God is the Lord of success, the one who allows man to see success and prosper. You know, that is the God I serve. Yes, I serve the 1 in a million God. God could exalt me above so many other people, you know. And my thing is, one of, like I was telling someone the other day, Um, I was thinking about this, and maybe I mentioned it in my last podcast that I need to put up. I was thinking about this. It's like, Lord, you know what? We spend a lot of time asking for this excessive, this overabundance, but God, it's in Proverbs, and there was this man praying it, and it's funny because this is the synopsis. This is the general theme of my life. How God will. It's like my life is biblical. My life is God. I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but God shows me how my footsteps are being ordered and how I may not be as wrong as I think I am. You know, if I just trust God, everything will be okay. And so maybe like 4 weeks ago, I was thinking, God, just give me enough. Give me enough. You know, I don't need millions and millions of dollars. I just need enough to be able to pay bills, be able to help people, be able to feed myself, be able to feed anyone that you bring up under me, be able to repay those who have helped me tremendously. I just need enough. I just need enough, God, so that honestly also I can remember where my help comes from, so that I can understand it is you who is my financial advisor. Because like I mentioned also, God said to Samuel, don't think that it is about you. They have always done this to me. They have always abandoned me. Rejecting God. I don't want to reject God. I want God to fulfill these positions. So I'm just like, yes, God. I know that I was asking for certain things, but God, just give me just enough so that I can understand you are my provider, and so that I can keep coming back for the provision. The Lord's Prayer, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. I say in and on this earth, but in and on this earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses. So give us this day our daily bread. You know, when you pray the Lord's Prayer, you can pray it, you know. I like praying it because I think it's effective. You know, when I don't know the right thing to say, I think even that alone, you know, protect me, God, give me what I need today. All of these other things, you know, I think it's a general good prayer, you know. And so to understand God, to have just enough to see your goodness, and then know that and realize the next day I need to ask for what I need, and then that very next day I need to ask for what I need, so that way it keeps me humble. It keeps me humble. You know, I would love $1 million, but only if I could remember God in it. Only if God would remain at the forefront of my mind as I obtained, maintained, sustained, retained, gained it. That's the only way at this point in my life I would want $1 million. Now, granted, $1 million sound nice. It do. But if I can't keep God, and if I can't make the clear cut decision to pray every day, which is why I know for a fact, I don't think I can share that, but I know when God says no, there's a great reason. God don't want to lose me, and I don't want to lose God. So I'ma wait on it. I'ma wait and let God finish the work that he has begun. So that way, when I get into any position, there is no question that I won't go to God. You know what I'm saying? That I won't pray about that thing first. Sometimes it's good not to be seen. Sometimes it's good to be secluded. Sometimes it's good to be told to run away, so that King was it Herod? Don't no not Herod. King well no, actually King Herod too, because Mary and Joseph, they had to take Jesus away. Period. But also I forget the one that was going after Elijah. God sent Elijah to a cave in a wilderness to sit there for how long, and then sent him to a widowed woman. But anyway, sometimes it's good to be alone, so that way God can protect you, and God can perfect you and preserve his righteousness in you. You know what I'm saying? And so I I have no idea about a lot of things, but the whole point of me wanting to do this video was to talk about, I'm seeing an uprising in people questioning, having questions, and wondering about God. And I don't know what that signifies for me. I mean, yes, I had a dream last year, and the more and more I see this, the more it's, I'm being reminded of the dream. And I mean, it's time for us, I think, to let people know the gift that they have been given, because a lot of people, they're coming into a knowledge of God. They're being reminded that God is real. There is a God. There is a supernatural. And so, when we look out and we see the people not knowing, what is this that I just witnessed? Why are you doing this for me? I think that's the perfect time to let them know about Jesus Christ, and really be focused. We need to focus on ourselves first, because make sure your house is clean. Make sure that there is no speck in your own eye first. That's why I'm very slow to judge, and I don't consider my teacher, because I'm not perfect. And there's a different kind of punishment and weight that comes behind that. I don't think that I have birthed. Now, I think that I have probably birthed one spiritual child, and I'll be praying for that child. I think. I'm not even sure, but I'll be praying for that one child that I have had, I think, spiritually. I believe so. There's a lot of people that tell, well, no, I'm not gonna say that, but God, the word said, you will have 10,000 teachers. There will be many teachers among you, but you will not have many fathers. And so the people that we bring into the knowledge of Christ, Paul said that. Paul was saying that, and then he went into saying, I have birthed you into this. And when the thing about being a spiritual parent is, you need to make sure you feed that kid. You need to make sure that you teach them how to pray. You need to make sure that you teach them the ways of God. You need to make sure that there's a lot that you need to do. As it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. So when this is why I said earlier, it's important to invest in people. I don't trust nobody that won't invest in me or invest in anybody. If all you can do is give a person a word, but you can't mentor them, you can't lead them, you can't guide them, you're not a shepherd. You don't know about nothing they got going on outside of the church. You are not a shepherd. If they have to come to you all the time, you are not a shepherd. The shepherd goes to the flock. The shepherd leaves the 99 and goes after the one that walked away. So if you cannot do that, you are not a shepherd, in my opinion, my humble opinion. Because being a shepherd, as God has revealed it to me, you are a therapist, you are a midwife, you are that God is still being unraveled to me, but you are more than just you're not just a preacher. You're not just the person who goes to a building. And this is why, there's nothing wrong with having mega churches, but even in business, God has begun to reveal to me, it is important to have a business in a situation that you can manage. Not listen. Now, granted, I think it's important to have help. When you can have 10 people on your staff, 20 people on your staff, 100 people on your staff, that's nice. But you being the one that God has given dominion over, over that thing, you have to realize it's like there was a story in the Bible that where they went to war and God told them not to take anything, but one of the men that went had he took something. He took something, and God told the leader of the men, don't take anything. Everybody got punished. Now that man and his family got killed, the one who took, if I'm not mistaken, but everybody still got punished. That is why it is now being revealed to me personally. If you're gonna have a business, it's okay to have a small business. It's okay to be local. It's okay to just be in your region and not try to take over the world. Why? Because you can manage. You can have personal relationships with the people who buy from you, with the people who work with you. If you only got 5 employees and you only got 10 faithful customers, you can have 10 good relationships, 15 good relationships. And as much as possible, you can know what's going on within your business. Because I imagine it gets hard when you have 1,000 employees and you got locations all over the globe. Like I was working at a place and they be having 6 all over the place. I'm sorry, but God has to be void of that place. And I mean, it comes down to a decision, you know. They're doing all kinds of things, drugs and all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm not saying we're not supposed to go into the world and minister, but you got to realize when a place has been overtaken and overrun. And Chad, I'm good. I'm not gonna let the enemy have access to my life because a spirit has entered into a place. And because I don't have the backbone to say I quit, I open the door because I need my money more than I need God. Thinking that God won't provide or God ain't the God of success. But anyway, see, this is what happened when I start talking. I start ranting. Don't know if I finished the last conversation that I was having. But I mean, you know, if you can follow, you can follow. If you can flow, you can flow. But point is, you know, pray to God. Ask God for these things, because God is a God who wants to preserve his righteousness in our lives. He would delight to keep us from sin. You know, if God could give you, I mean, anything to keep you from sinning now, and I think people will take that and run with it, you know, do whatever. But I understand God always gives us a way of escape, right? Now that way of escape is not always it's not always gonna look the same, you know. But to keep, let's use an example. To keep me from stealing, I believe God would not only give me a job, but God would give me the money. God would give me the bread. God would give me the water. God would give me anything I need to keep me from transgressing against him, from letting that iniquity cause me to fall into sin. I believe that because God said it to David. If only I would have knew, I would have given you more. And we think, God, why would you say if you would have knew? Because you know everything, but you didn't say nothing. That's what I'm saying. You didn't say anything to me, and I'm not going to overstep my boundary. You didn't say anything. Satan didn't say anything. So say something. If you love me, say something. Talk to me. I want to hear you. That's literally God to us. I want to hear you. I long to hear your voice. I long to spend time with my creation. So I think I'm gonna end here. Remember to stay positive. You know, just I don't know. Remember to stay positive. Keep that with you. Spread it wherever you go. I'm probably not even gonna rewatch these because I sense like, you know what, I'll say this at the end. I invite correction. Now, I also invite the Lord's protection over this video to keep liars and trolls and people who have not just, well, no, how would you say it? Religious spirits. Because there's nothing wrong with righteousness. There's nothing wrong with holiness. But people that are afraid, they're afraid. They live in fear. They don't have no faith. Be gone in the name of Jesus. You have no faith because you're stuck. And you think you know God, which with your arrogant self. But either who, stay positive. I know nothing about you, Lord. You know, except for what you reveal, and then even still, it's only a portion. It's not even a portion. It's this. Ooh, it's this small increment. It's anyway. Yeah. Love yourself. Love others. Can I close? Can I end? Hold on. Where my buttons at? Oh, hold on, cause I got my stream deck and I want to try to use it more. So I'm just gonna end by pressing. Oh, hold on. All right, we out. Bye. It ain't ending. Hold on. I got it. I gotta hold it.